Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Low Rollers Live, a Dungeons and Dragons live adventure. I am your host. I almost got it this time. Danny Allinson, playing the role of Bryn Wanders. With me here today, Jonathan Edwards, playing Narroth, Prince of Thieves.
Hello.
Danny Garcia as Astor Mithlader.
Hello.
Rachael Murphy as Isgrim Bearzon.
Hi-oh.
Alan Seymour is playing Lady Lilith von Kiln.
Howdy.
Robert Seitz is Zarrius, servant of Obad-hai.
Good evening. Oh God.
And of course, we
That's what
have...
you get for being
That was worth
late.
the wait.
Yeah,
Exciting.
it was. Christopher Rondeau is our lovely dungeon master. Chris, why don't you get us caught up and take it away?
So, last week we had a session where we entered the Bohemian Forest, and it was actually sort of the aftermath of the initial conflict that started upon entering. We saw Astor get captured, taken away, and where he met Lady Seymour Soyana, and had a very endearing conversation with his mother. As the party sort of recuperates from the fight, they find themselves traveling through the Bohemian Forest as if the forest was letting them pass to where they want to go, meeting up with Astor, Lady Seymour Soyana, at the Temple of the Fae Court. After getting a little bit to eat, a little bit of dancing, Lady Seymour Soyana showed her ability, which seemed to have the party fight off the effects of exhaustion, actually gain the benefits of a full rest. And if you know anything about my rules and my storyline, getting a full rest is extremely difficult. But we are going to pick up right where we left off. We are going to explore some of the things that the party does in the evening to see the world around them. How do they interpret things? Just take a moment to step away from the plot and the exposition and the epic adventure, and just kind of see how our players are growing, or particularly how our characters are growing through the eyes of the players. So I actually wanted to start with Narroth. Narroth, we left you off in this temple of the Fae Courts, and you were in the middle of experiencing the 4 seasons of the Fae. I created a map of the Fae over the past couple days, so I guess I can pull that up now. So I'll give you a little bit of idea what you're kind of going through as far as the seasons and how that looks like. But why don't you tell me a little bit about what's going on in Narroth?
All right. So let's open the scene with Narroth sitting in the middle of the Temple of the Seasons. Narroth is going to shift his perception between each of the different seasons as he contemplates the temple himself. This temple, Narroth says to himself, this temple contains all seasons: the warmth of summer, the chill of winter, the life which blooms in the spring, and the death that follows in the fall. All of these things are contained here in one house. At this, Narroth is stepping through the seasons as in his mind as he focuses on his own abilities. I have been thinking of my own power, something I use. I force out an emotion to elicit a magic response. So that's not what balance is at all. Balance is allowing more than one emotion to be present at a time, to allow different emotions to exist simultaneously within me, just as this temple does. And at this, Narroth concentrates and brings his mind above the temple as a swimmer would bring their head above water. From here, he can see each season individually and feel them existing simultaneously. Narroth turns his mind inwards to see the power residing in him, his raging fire, his swirling water within, the steady earth. Instead of focusing on bringing one out at a time, Narroth elevates his mind in the same way to view all of these as a whole. Narroth looks at each of them individually, seeing each of their power, and rests above these individual elements as he glimpses just for a second the collective whole without focusing on any one. At this, Narroth opens his eyes as he feels a tug of discomfort. As he looks down, he can see that his robes are alight with fire, his chest dusty and covered with earth, and you can see his scales are frosted with ice. As he looks around, he puts out the flame while acknowledging that this is what he was after all along.
So, as Narroth has this epiphany, we'll actually take it back to the party area with the bonfire going. There's a lot of dancing and just the normal party atmosphere that is very apparent in this culture. We'll take it at this point to Bryn wanders. Still dancing?
Probably for... she probably took a break after speaking to Lady Ciliana for a little bit, just to catch her breath. Probably look around the area a little bit as well.
Perfect. So, you see the area. I believe, ironically, Zarrius is currently dancing. Astor is there, maybe doing the musician thing, and probably just enjoying himself, fully trying to get the get the surroundings, enjoy the culture. Probably also a little bit meditative. What would you like to do?
She's probably just gonna peruse the area really quick. I think we mentioned pretty much everything that was there, right? Is there anything else outstanding that might be around?
Besides the temple? No, not really.
Okay. She'll probably at one point also flip open her compass just to reorient herself.
The compass at this point does not appear to be... It appears to be constantly spinning.
Okay. After perusing a bit, she'll walk up to Astor.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Astor.
What's up?
Do you mind... is he playing right now?
He is, but it's not something that requires vocals, so we can multitask right now.
Can I ask you a few questions?
Would you mind waiting just 1 minute? I'm almost done with this tune.
Sure, I'll be over there. And she just points to a random spot.
Cool. So about a minute goes by, Astor's done with his tune, and he walks on over. So what's your question?
Well, there's... How do I put it? Why are you here?
Why do you have to ask me the same question?
Huh?
Let's just say the forests asked me something similar.
Oh, I didn't mean the forest. I meant the continent.
Okay. And why is it so strange to you that I'm here?
Well, she, sits down, cross-legged, and kind of, pats the floor for Astor to join her.
Astor sits down and is also sitting cross-legged.
I mean, you just had a child.
Oh, is that why you're asking me?
Yeah, I would think that you would want to stay with Caleb and Lana.
Astor gives a very deep sigh, but then he says, actually, you have no idea how difficult it was for me to even pry myself away from them. So, honestly, the main reason why I'm here, and, well, I'm hoping you find this more satisfactory than the forest did, but the reason why I'm here is because I feel like if I have the opportunity to take part in something that will make the future better for both Lana and Caleb, I should very well participate to try and, increase the chances of making things better. That and, well, while it wasn't intentional, I do feel that I did some damage in the form of helping release the wounded king. So I wanted to take a little responsibility for that as well.
She nods her head. I still don't know if I understand it. I'm not in your position. I've never been in your position. So I can only imagine what I might do.
Well, let me put it this way. At this point, I'm not living for myself. I'm living for me. I'm living for Lana. I'm living for Caleb. And, well, as of what just happened tonight, I'm living for a few other people as well that I would consider family. But, so yeah, I'm living for others right now, and it would be quite irresponsible for me to not live that life to its fullest.
But don't you think we could have handled it? All of us? And she kind of points around to the members of the party that are around. And Zarrius tripping over himself as he dances.
On the tail. Well, it's not that I don't trust you guys or have confidence in you or anything like that. It just felt like, I don't know, it just felt like I had to be here. Even if me being here only increases the chance of success by 0.01%, 0.01% is better than none. And my understanding, it's a pretty bad situation right now. Let me tell you, Lana was having a fit. It took me a long time to convince her.
I imagine she was. Well, I guess just one more question.
Go ahead.
Do you think that if we manage to succeed, it will have been worth it?
Well, that's kind of a hard question to answer, if I had to be honest. I mean, I know for a fact that even if we succeed and things settle, feuds settle down, war stops, that kind of thing, the world's still going to be a changed place no matter what happens. So, as much as I'd like to be able to give you that answer, I'm not going to lie to you. So I quite honestly do not know. I hope it will be. That's why I'm fighting.
Well, if we make it there, let me know.
Well, I will. That means I'll be alive if I can tell you.
Well, if we're lucky, we'll both be alive at that point.
Indeed.
That's all. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, I hope that assuaged any concerns you might have.
Oh, you know me. Not a care in the world. And she'll whistle and skip off.
As she does that, Astor stands up and mutters under his breath, "Yeah, hey, not a care, huh?" And he goes back and performs a little more.
As soon as she gets out of eye shot of Astor, she'll skip around a tent or something and immediately stop skipping and just kind of slowly walk away.
Perfect. We are heading to Lilith.
Okay.
So Lilith has been sitting on sort of the outskirts of this party, looking inward, definitively not going into the forest. Probably just taking 5-10 feet away from that, but definitely not in the party dancing, even rejecting the invitation of Zarrius to dance. She sits there and she sees a hooded figure begin to approach her. initially thinking it's one of the tieflings trying to get her to dance or to do something. This person takes down the her hood, and she will recognize the vision of Arathis.
She bows her head and says, "My lady."
You've been busy.
Yes, we have.
What you are trying to do is just so very difficult, and my people have been looking up to you as people are starting to tell your story about, the endeavors you're doing on the continent of Asea.
Wow, I had no idea.
And in your moments of solitude, I'm here to help you a little more. Just give you a little more of my essence, my being, so you can go forth and truly protect the people you care about.
My lady, I don't know what to say.
Just breathe. Just breathe.
Lilith takes in a deep breath. She goes, "My lady, I've been trying so hard, but there's so much anger, and it still gets the best of me."
Keep focused on what's truly important. You are here, and your friends, your allies, are here to bring order back into the world, to protect those who need that barrier between the strong and the weak. That is you. That is your divine mission.
Yes, my lady.
And you just hear her say, "Breathe, breathe." And as she does this, you kind of sort of fade in and out of consciousness, following your breath. And for the briefest of moments, your vision goes black, and then you wake up, and you're back to the normal scene. You see people dancing, doing the joyous thing, but you feel different. Not only do you feel rested from the power of Lady Samora Siliana, you feel at peace for the briefest seconds, like that anger was taken away.
Lilith just breathes deeply, stands, and goes and joins the party.
Iskram. Last we left you off, I believe you were in the middle of the tower?
Yep.
Not tower. Tower is a bad way to say it in context of this storyline. In the middle of the temple.
Yeah, I was in the middle.
How is Danny going to betray us next?
It's going to be the other one.
Uh-oh.
So, Iskram is sort of meditating on the elements, not as in tune with the Feywild as Narroth is, because Narroth is more magical. But what's going on through Iskram's head at this point?
So one of the things that you mentioned last time is that the stonework was, or the stone itself was not natural in origin. It's a solid stone that's been carved but not natural to the area. But at the same time, it kind of I want to say it feels like it fits. Does that seem fair to say?
Maybe not when you're outside the temple, but being inside the temple, feeling these different energies around you, it feels natural, quote unquote.
Okay. So there's something to that where it was this out of place thing, but then he goes inside and it feels, like you said, natural. So he's seen Zarrius and he's seen Narroth meditate, and he kind of doesn't really know what's going through their head or if he's supposed to like clear his mind or anything like that. So he just like thinks about how did this stone get here? Who could have carved it? And as you mentioned, it felt like all of the seasons were kind of present at once. For him, he felt extremely cold, like the biting winds of the tundra. And yet Narroth said that it was warm. So he's just thinking about how all of these different disjointed things can be in the same place, balanced. And he really begins to feel the pulse of nature around him.
Okay, so you think you're getting more attuned to the natural, the Feywild isn't natural, but you can kind of connect the essence of this temple to the natural order of the Feywild.
Okay.
And from what I understand, this sparks something?
Yeah, so in the tundra, it's a very harsh environment, and it's the dwarves of his clan spend their whole life trying to kind of live as one with nature, and to be practical about it, but it's still very, very hard and very difficult, and it's difficult to feel nature's breath, as it were. And yet here, in this forest, in this place of magic, he really is beginning to feel that the natural world has its own pulse, its own life beat, and that is something that is different, more malleable. So like when he, say for instance, goes into battle, he's very rigid in terms of he just charges ahead and basically rages and goes after whatever he's going after, but nature can bend, and so he's thinking of ways that he can mold himself and kind of grow.
And I think Iskrim does. He realizes we have a big theme of balance going on this campaign through Zarrius and Narroth, and I think maybe Iskrim has been hearing them talk about these things, whether to him or through their very deliberate meditations, and maybe at this point Iskrim sort of gets what they're trying to achieve.
Okay.
Zarrius, you are still at the party, I believe.
Yes. I am still at the party, and as he's slowly getting a bit exhausted from, well, not exhausted as in the exhausted sense of D&D word, he's just getting a little tired from dancing so much, a little sweaty, whatnot. He's going to step out of the dance area and kind of take a moment to walk around and relax a little bit. And he starts to see if Lady Ciliana is still around the area.
Yep. After her conversation with Bryn and Astor, and the events of last session, she has taken a step back. She has retreated. She did a little dancing with Bryn, but once that ended, she left the party. And you can see her staring at the Temple of the Fake Courts.
So you're saying she's staring at the temple?
Correct.
Okay. I would like to take a moment and walk over to her, pretty casually, not like in like distress or anything, just to not alarm her or anything like that. But head over to her direction to hopefully have a word with her.
As she senses you approach and kind of looks your direction and gives a brief nod and goes, I wonder if your friends are okay in there.
Is there something to worry about with being in there?
Only if the forest thinks that something is off. And we would know if that is the case.
Do you feel like something is off?
No, but that doesn't stop a lady from worrying.
Oh, yes, of course. Do you think maybe we should go in and check on them?
Oh, the teaches different people different things.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
The temple teaches different people different things.
Ah, I see. Well, I'm wondering if you would be able to maybe show me your ways, as I felt you do your little incantation earlier. It rejuvenated us all in the area, and it was very, I don't know, it was very perplexing, but at the same time, I kind of want to know more.
Know more about me, or what? What exactly?
How, like, the incantation that you did, it was a lot to do at one time. I feel like I'm slightly practiced in little incantations, whatnot, but not like something that tremendous. And
I do a lot of breathing, and through this focusing of my mind, I can do a lot of things. I can create fire, I can breathe ice, I can, push people's spirits to go a little harder, a little more focused.
I appreciate that a lot, as I have tried to study that myself. Obviously not to the extent that you have, but would you mind if I went inside and tried to center myself at least?
Of course, that is up to you, and if that's what you want to do, then go for it.
Well, thank you very much. And it'll also give me the opportunity to check on the others.
So you leave Lady Seymour Soyana and head into the temple, and you see both Iskrim and Narroth doing their own stages of meditation. But they seem pretty much unharmed. They're just really intently focused. You kind of see the frost starting to grow on Narroth's scales, but you don't see it harming him in any way, shape, or form.
I see. Zarrius would kind of want to go off a little ways away from them and put his staff, or not put his staff down. His staff can stand upright on its own with the roots on the bottom of it, so he kind of plants it down square on the ground, and it maybe starts to go into the dirt a little bit to root itself. And he starts doing his meditative movements to where he focuses maybe a little bit more on the breathing aspect that he doesn't normally focus on as he's doing these movements that Lady Sylviana had suggested.
And what does he learn?
He learns that there's can be warm feelings that he feels inside at the same time that the outside has, like, quote unquote harsh conditions. There's a peace that he can find and centeredness that he can find with his insides, while at the same time he can be unleashing his fists and using his staff necessarily to be tormenting, quote unquote, to the enemies without actually being bad or evil, I guess is what you might call it. But anyway, so he finds that there's a balance that he wasn't able to find before, and that this has opened his eyes, per se, to his fullest potential.
So he does these meditative combat, I want to say art forms, as at least that's how I kind of picture it.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of gets this inner sense of what he could do. He, maybe channels his passion a little bit more to be able to unlock potential he may not have realized he had.
Yeah, definitely.
And finally, we are going to go to Astor, who is still at the party. Just recently finished talking to Bryn. Under the corner of his eye, he is going to see Dab kind of playing around, talking to some of the kids. Well, not talking to some of the kids, but like dancing around with some of the kids, standing there in her elegance, her beauty, and the only real adjective anyone can really describe her is just she is Fae. She embodies the essence of Fae.
Cool. So Astor at this point decides to act on the suggestion that his mother has given him in the conversation. So he's going to actually mentally reach out to Dab, and he's going to walk over to Dab. He's going to walk over to Dab, and once he gets her attention, he's going to say, "Hey Dab, if we could, I'd like to take a couple minutes of your time."
She doesn't respond immediately. She waits for the song to finish that's going there, and she pats this little blue tiefling on the head and walks over to you with this smile on her face. Again, moving with an elegance that is unlike anything on this natural plane. How can I help you, Astor?
Yes, so that temple over there, Astor, okay, so it's the temple that 3 people are in now. I managed to go in there and actually speak with my mother. And, well, I've kind of moved to the point where I'm going to try and embrace the high elf, I suppose, side of me. And she told me you were someone who might be able to help me with that.
Why the change of heart?
Well, I kind of realized that there's really no point in running away from who I am, or at least half of who I am. So I figured I'd try and just face it.
Dav takes a very uncomfortable moment of silence, and she kind of gestures. This place has a lot of the natural plants still flowing. Let's see if the forest will let us have some peace.
Sure, works for me.
And she leaves, and as you guys head to the outer edge of this forest, you see a path open up for you two, and I think since Dav has been out of your sword and existing as this kind of extra party member, this is the first time she looks kind of natural. She is kind of moving left and right through the trees in a way that, she's in nature, but she's not disturbing it, unlike yourself and the rest of the party that kind of naturally goes through it with, disrupting the plant life and the wildlife. She walks and it doesn't even seem like she leaves a footprint, and as you go further, you are taken to a glade that is very reminiscent of actually when you first met Dav in the spring woods all those years ago. And upon arriving, she goes to the center and sits cross-legged. In your mind, you see, yeah, I think this will do.
All right, Astor walks up and he's going to sit in front of her cross-legged as well.
And as several moments go by and you observe Dav, she begins to sing, but not in your mind. She actually begins to sing, and you can feel the forest, this area, kind of sing with her, and you don't quite understand it because you don't have the connection to the Fae as she does. And she looks at you and says, sing with the forest.
So, just a little apprehensively, at least for a second, Astor looks at her with that facial expression, and then he says, well, here goes nothing. And at this point, Astor is going to just try and do his best that he can to focus in on what is surrounding him. He's going to try and kind of get a grasp for what it means to be someone from the Pwrlvl. So he's going to try and be as in tune with the forest as he can, and he will do so while he tries and sing just like that did.
So a few minutes goes by. It's like, no, let's go. You're thinking too much. Don't focus so much on the surroundings. Just sing.
Astor stops and he gets that face of a disgruntled student who thought he was doing it right, but apparently he's not. But then he just settles down. You see him visibly relax. His shoulders that were just a little high from tension just goes down into a more natural position. His arms relax. You can see his legs relax, and he's still sitting fairly upright, but only because it is in the perfect position for him to remain that way. And then he just spends a little time emptying his mind, and then he just starts to sing.
And I think Astor can immediately feel the change. Just, it's no longer a song of technique or based on his training. It's a song of passion, and he is swept away, just in the moment, and he feels the natural compulsion to sing louder, to move with the music, and Dav immediately takes your hand and says, "Dance."
Astor gets up and dances.
While Astor does not have the elegance that Dav has, he is swept away, and his movement is, for the moment, rhythmic. And as we go through the song that they are now singing as a duet, you stop, and she looks at you and says, "This is what it means to be Eldrin. This is what it means to be Fae."
Astor just looks at Dav in silence, and then he says, "Wow."
You are a Mithlader. It is time that you unlock this potential that is in your blood.
Astor just gives a smile and he says, "Well, I suppose it is."
And she'll say, "Take out your hand and breathe."
He does so.
And at this moment, the weapon that he is used to Dav transforming into for him begins to elongate out of his hands, and we have this reddish energy of his normal weapon begin to appear. And Dav has this smile and goes, This is what it means to accept your heritage. The power that I have been giving you has really been yours all along."
Well, would you look at that?
Summoning the sword as well, she begins to dance in this elegant form with the sword as this extension. And I think we will fade to black briefly on this scene. But as the party goes through these various thought processes, welcome to level 11, boys and lady.
Yay!
Oh, yeah.
But everyone goes through these scenes, and we'll eventually meet back at the campfire. I imagine most of you guys have smiles on your faces. There's peace and joy emanating from you that you didn't have prior to coming into the forest. And we'll pick up. The party is dying down, though people are still dancing and singing. People are beginning to spread out on the grass, laying up, looking at the stars. No blankets or bedrolls or tents or anything like that. They go there doing that. The food is put away, but there are a few people at this bonfire. Primarily, you will see Lady Seymour Soyana there as well, and a very passed out Yvette, who is currently lying next to the fire.
Real quick, Chris, do you think I have a chalice worth 1,000 gold pieces in my goods?
No.
Okay.
So the party reconvenes at relatively the same side. So we have Dav sort of skipping along. I think the only person who probably may not be immediately in the scene is Bryn Wanders. I'm not quite sure what Bryn did after her scene, but Danny can tell me that. And yeah, this is where we're picking up.
Hey guys, I don't know if you guys feel this too, but I really like this place.
It's peaceful, but we can't stay here.
Yeah, thanks for bringing us back to reality.
Astor just laughs.
That's what I do.
Thanks. Anyways, we still have some things to take care of here before we take off, but I think I'm ready for a nice rest after the little shindig that we had.
Bryn will just show up at this point in time.
Well, hey, Bryn, how you doing?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Doing as good as ever.
Oh, good. And you see Zarrius have a big fat smile on his face, as he's feeling really good and refreshed.
Awfully cheery.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like this place. The people are very nice, and I don't know. It reminds me of old times, and it makes me feel good inside.
That's good. Reminds you of home?
Yeah.
Good.
I'm starting to feel a little bit of that.
Yeah?
Little.
A little? Just a little?
It is very peaceful.
Yeah, now that it's not chasing us or directing us anymore.
Or using its vines to, like, throw you 20 feet or something.
Yeah, just like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. But, so how long do you... I don't have a time preference as to how long we stay here, but I wouldn't mind maybe spending an extra day here to get to know this place a little better, and I don't know what you guys are feeling.
Do we have what we need?
Well, we do need to talk to Lady Silyana about the special ability that we are in need of. The one that kind of she used on us already to alleviate the exhaustion that we had. We would kind of like to know that and bring it back to Excelsior.
Right. I think we should stay as long as it takes to get it.
Yep.
Okay.
Quick question for Chris.
That's me.
Yeah, based on what we've been experiencing, about what time would we think it is right now?
It's probably actually coming closer to dawn. A couple hours to it potentially. Would be how you would get. Well, no, it'd be a little later than that, wouldn't it? Probably early morning, like 8 o'clock. But the nighttime hasn't ended where you're currently at.
I see. But did everybody else just go to sleep, or has it been a while?
This party's been going on for 3 going on 4 hours, so I mean, it's been going on for a fair amount of time.
Okay, so it wouldn't be weird if everybody here just rested right now.
Yep.
But Astor at this point says, well, with that in mind, I say we all tuck in.
I agree. Let's... Well, go ahead, Bryn.
Oh, I was just asking if everybody is here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Seitz.
Yes.
So I agree with what Astor just mentioned, stating that we should probably get some rest, as we've all had a really long night, per se, even though we rested not too long ago. But I think it would be good for us to refresh ourselves and allow Lady Ciliana to rest herself, and that way we might be meeting her in when she is well rested. Is that okay with everyone?
You see Astor's already taking his equipment off.
Yep, Iskrim actually gets his bedroll out and lays it next to the temple, the stonework.
Believe it or not, Lilith reaches into her pocket, pulls out her cart, sets it up, puts her bedroll in her cart, and goes to sleep.
And Zarrius will pull out his bedroll and lay it down and get some rest.
Bryn's gonna go up to Iskrim. Iskrim,
Yes.
you happen to have any polish?
Polish.
She-
For
She like draws her gun, does a few flips on it. It's getting a little bit dirty.
I don't necessarily have Polish, but I have some fat that is like oil that you can use to clean it. And you see Iskrim take out a very small tin from his pack, and he opens it up, and it's this very white, creamy fat that has actually been rendered, so it's very clean, and it melts very quickly.
May I borrow it?
Of course.
Thanks. She'll grab the tin and kind of skip off like she does. I'll bring it back tomorrow. Then she'll probably how tall is this ziggurat thing?
150 feet maybe.
How tall are the levels?
You can probably reach the top at around 120 feet.
She'll probably get like a quarter of the way up the side of it and take a nap there. Do her thing.
Perfect. Everyone goes to sleep. Iskrim, Narroth.
Yep.
All right. Astor. I'm not sure if I heard from you.
Oh no, he was already getting ready to go to sleep.
Perfect. And
With
the
that,
party take.
oh, go ahead.
Go for it.
I
No,
was
go
just-
for it.
I was just going to say with that, we'll go ahead and take a quick break. We will be back in just a few minutes, so keep watching, enjoy the music, and we'll be back in a few. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to more Low Rollers Live. We are back from our break. Chris, why don't you start us off?
You wake up. Congratulations.
Some days it's a feat.
Yeah, that was my level 10. What?
What?
Feet.
Oh, I see.
Wow. Yeah, it looks like you did have issues.
I forgot which level I get feet at.
No stroke, I see.
Yes.
Yeah, so you guys wake up, it's still nighttime, which is kind of, odd to the party, except maybe Zarrius, but, you get to you wake up rejuvenated, it's probably the best sleep you guys have had since you have left Tyria, potentially even before the whole tower scenario, and you feel pretty good. The feelings of yesterday still fresh in your mind. How would you guys like to do things?
So you're saying it's still dark out, correct?
Correct.
Is it look like the sun's going to be rising anytime soon?
It looks like the sun has almost going to be rising for the past, I don't know, going on 10 hours now? 12 hours?
Oh, okay, gotcha. Cool. I would get up. Are the people around, like, moving around per se, like they would go about their regular duties?
More or less. There's still people asleep, but there's people awake as well.
Okay. I'd like to get up and go off towards. Is the fire still burning from last night? Or
I don't know if the same fire is still burning, but there is a fire burning.
okay, are there people talking around it, or is it just quiet right now?
Yeah, there are people talking, conversing. A lot of people. There seems to be a pot going over the fire to prep some food of some sort. Boil some tea, that sort of thing.
Okay. I would want to go away from the fire and sit there and maybe start doing my RTN and doing some fighting stances in meditation.
I think as we go through this campaign, I think we realize that I'm definitely a creative homebody as opposed to a. Hey, never mind. What's everyone else do?
Well, Astor gets up. He gets his equipment on him. And what is Dab doing at the moment?
She's at the fire with Yvette. She still seems to be asleep.
Oh, Dab is still asleep?
Yvette is still asleep. Dab doesn't sleep.
Oh, right, that's true. Well, Astor is going to walk on up to Dab, and he's going to ask, well, first he's going to say good morning, and then he's going to ask her, so, if I might have a minute.
Astor. Something's wrong with Yvette.
What?
Something is wrong with Yvette.
Astor's going to lean in for a closer inspection.
You can see that she is sweating profusely. She's kind of tossing a little bit. I mean, that's all you get from a basic look over.
And Astor see... Well, is the whole party awake, or just the two?
I'm awake. I'm shrinking down my cart, putting it back in my pocket.
Well, you're going to hear a voice with a little desperation calling you away. Astor's going to see that you're up and moving, and he goes, Lilith, come here. I need your help.
Lilith walks over.
Here, that doesn't seem to be in a good condition. Can you tell anything about what's going on?
Can I roll a medicine check?
Yeah, roll a medicine check on Yvette. Whatever's affecting her isn't natural.
Okay. Let's see here.
And actually, while Lilith's looking her over, Astor's going to look for Lady Celiana.
She's watching the whole ordeal.
She's what?
She's watching this whole exchange.
Oh, Astor's going to ask her, have you seen anything like this before?
Not particularly.
Do you have any idea about what might be going on?
I don't know. This doesn't feel like a Fey disease. It also doesn't feel like a natural disease.
Is it a disease?
I don't know.
The first thing I try to do is I'm just going to reach out and touch her, and I'm going to just cast a Cure Wounds at first level, just to see if maybe it's something of that nature.
Her fever subsides ever so slightly, but it doesn't seem to do much besides that.
Okay, so with my knowledge of both magical and non-magical diseases through my practice and through my training in medicine, I realize that this is now maybe a disease.
No, I use the word disease as a choice word for Lady Seymour Soyana. It is not necessarily a disease.
Okay. Shoot. I usually don't prepare lesser restoration. I turn to Astor and I say, you cast certain healing magics. Do you have a restoration spell?
No, I'm afraid not. My arsenal's a little different than last time, just because of how we've been doing things.
Okay.
At this point,
At this point, Lilith turns to the Suliana and says, do you have people that have healing magics, that have restoration magics?
We tried everything we could, but nothing we can do worked.
there's something Astor is going to try and do. He's actually going to be pulling on a previous experience that he had from a while ago now, back when they were in the Tower of Babel. Astor's going to try and see if he can... long story short, he's doing the Divine Sense bit of his Paladin class, so he's going to kind of try and see if he can sense something with that particular aspect of his being.
Can you pull up the descriptor?
Yeah, give me just a second.
While we're having this scene, can we what's Iskrim, Narroth, and am I missing someone? Bryn doing?
Iskrim's going to go ahead and wake up, or he probably woke up a little bit earlier, and he's packing things away as he sees Dab and Astor kind of freaking out over Yvette, and then Lilith coming up. He kind of knows he doesn't really have any healing spells or abilities, so he kind of stands back and watches. And that's, trying to stay out of the way, being as practical as possible.
Narroth?
Narroth probably isn't even there. When he fell asleep, he was probably inside the temple, let's be honest.
Sorry, repeat that?
Narroth probably isn't even there. He fell asleep inside the temple and is probably still there.
And Bryn.
Bryn is probably going to wake up and enjoy the sunrise and probably take too long to realize that the sun isn't actually moving. Would she be able to see the hubbub that's hubbubbing?
She can see the hubbubbing. Yes. Sure.
Okay.
Oh,
She would probably go down there and run up and be like, probably to Isgrim, who's standing there. What's going on?
It looks like Yvette is not feeling well. She's not been able to be waked, and from what I can gather, it sounds like a lot of the healing magics that the party has is not effective.
Can I roll survival on her to see if it's anything that might be more natural and less magical?
You can walk up to her and do that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
okay. As Bryn does that, Lilith remembers the herbs that she purchased from the tiefling at the party, and goes about 5 feet away, summons her carts, rummages through the stuff in her cart to find the packet of herbs that she has. She takes her she takes a small pot and she goes over to the fire, putting the small pot onto the fire, pouring some water into the pot, and she starts making a tea with the herbs that the tiefling gave her.
Cool. Astor, you smell something horrid coming from Yvette's, and you do recognize this as Celestial.
Celestial, huh?
And it doesn't appear to be a natural issue, Bryn.
Okay. She's
All right,
gonna.
so
Is Yvette like sweating, or is she like
so,
describe her physically? I guess.
Her fever has been reduced by Lilith, but you can see sort of the reason. The best way I can describe it is she's kind of clammy. So you can kind of feel the moistness in her skin from being for sweating for a long time. She's probably also has a degree of dehydration, which I guess I should have given Lilith that knowledge as well.
Okay.
And when Bryn leans in and kind of, gets that information in her head, she sees Astor kind of have a sudden reaction where he just goes, ugh! And he just puts his right fist over his nose, or like his hand over his nose to kind of like try and, not smell something bad. You see him do that, and then he goes, okay, that's not of natural cause.
So by this time, is the tea a little bit steeped?
So it will take a few minutes to get the water boiling. Well, they have boiling water, so yeah, I'll say it is relatively steeped.
Okay, so she takes the pot of tea, and she tells Astor, hold Yvette up.
Sure, Astor uses his right hand, puts it under Yvette's head, and tilts her up so that she's in a more drinking-like position.
So Lilith, this might be a little weird, but Lilith asked Isgrim to come closer.
Okay.
And
Is-
she asks, can you cool the tea so that it doesn't burn her throat?
Hang on. Player is going to figure this out.
I mean, you are an ice dwarf. You know, that's what Lilith is thinking in her head.
Yeah, I know. Player is trying to figure out if this can work.
You shouldn't stereotype. Come on.
And I mean, he's a dwarf. I mean, what are you gonna? I'm just kidding.
I got something if you don't.
Okay, Iskrim's gonna look at Lilith and go, unfortunately, the only time anything gets cold around me is usually when I'm very angry and about ready to kill something. So, no, I can't cool that off for you.
Bryn will go, I got something, and she'll basically get out of the way really quick, go into her bag and pull out a bullet that has the firing tip, or the firing pin on the back of it is a blue color. She'll take out some pliers that she has. These are normal tools that you see her use when she's like clearing a misfire on her gun, and pulls the bullet out of the casing, pours the gunpowder into probably just her hand for now, and does that probably for like 2 bullets, and then asks for a light.
So Lilith says, can you grab a stick from the fire, Iskrim?
Lilith goes to the fire and grabs a stick.
No, she asks, she's still holding the tea. She asks Iskrim to grab it.
Okay. Did I say Lilith goes to the fire and grabs a stick?
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
I
what you
totally
said.
meant Iskrim. I totally meant Iskrim.
Just slide it.
Okay.
So when Iskrim lights the gunpowder in Bryn's hand, it flashes for a second, and then it actually turns blue into the almost like ice crystals in her hand, and she dumps it inside of the tea.
Okay, so now as the tea is cool, Lilith brings the tea to her and tells Astor to hold Yvette's mouth open, and she slowly starts to pour some of the tea into Yvette's mouth.
So the natural pain reliever of these herbs gets her to calm down briefly.
Okay, so now we have some time. This is definitely an unnatural force in her, but between my healing magic and these herbs, we should now be able to have some time to figure out what's going on here, and how to get rid of it.
Well, so I kind of realized something while I was looking at Yvette just now. Have we dealt with anything? Has she dealt with anything of a celestial nature recently?
No, the only thing we fought was the fey creatures. The
Unless
elemental
that-
creatures.
Unless that white horse thing was
Oh, you're
was
talking about
something.
the unicorn. That was nothing.
Let's pause the scene briefly. What is Zarrius and Narroth doing?
Zarrius is focusing deeply on his breathing as he is doing his movements. So I would say that due to his intense focus, he would not be listening to anything at all that was going on over.
So I'm going to say this, that you can tell that it's not just normal like talking commotion. There is an incident actually happening. You can still choose as a player to ignore that, but I think that Zarrius will be able to realize normal talking versus emergency.
Okay.
Or maybe he doesn't. That's up to you.
I'm thinking that due to the what Zarrius was taught by Lady Styliana last night, that he is wanting to try and focus on that a little bit more than some people might think. So he's probably just going to continue to focus on doing his meditation and breathing and trying to get that same feeling that he had last night while he was doing that.
What about Narroth?
Narroth is probably currently also meditating in the temple, trying to get the feeling back from the night before to make sure he didn't lose it in the night. So he's focusing pretty well too.
Cool. We'll cut back to the scene with you a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, Astor says, "Yeah, that's a unicorn. It's nothing."
So Lilith, not knowing what to do in this minute, she's going to try something a little desperate. And knowing that the presence of Arathis visited her yesterday, she's going to reach up and touch her holy symbol. And she's going to try something very desperate. And she's going to try divine intervention. Probably won't work because it only has like a, what is it, an 11% chance, but she's going to try. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, but I had to try. So with the connection not going through,
There's something Astor wants to try once you're done.
Lilith just looks up at Astor and like is dumbfounded, like I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Oh, let me try something. It was a very similar feeling to when we were dealing with Kai in the tower, and Astor is going to try and see if he can push away the celestial, I guess, aura that he felt, and it'll be done using this.
It's not going to matter, unfortunately.
Okay.
I tell Astor, Iskram, place her in, and I put show them where my bedroll is in my cart, because I just shrunk down my cart because my cart can pretty much stay, and I tell them to move Yvette to lay on the bedroll inside the cart so that she's a little bit more comfortable.
Iskrim will take her head or her shoulders. I assume Astor will grab her by the feet and will carry her into the cart and place her in the bedroll.
Assumption is good.
Lilith walks up into the cart and just sort of, makes sure that she's covered with blankets, and replaces the damp rag that Bryn had put on her forehead, and just takes some more of the herbs and is going to make another thing so that she can make like an inhalant inside the cart, so that Yvette can just be constantly breathing the fumes of the herbs.
I'm gonna be
That makes
hotboxing
sense.
some dank herbs, man.
Yeah, pretty much. Making a hot box.
During this time, Bryn will have run to find somebody.
And there is
Fine.
something Astor wants to do.
Fine too.
Lady Ciliana.
She's observing this whole scene. She's not far.
Well, then I will go up to her.
She's doesn't really see you approach. She's looking more at the situation with Yvette.
Lady Ciliana.
Hmm?
You know what's happening?
No.
Any ideas?
Not any good ones.
I've learned before that sometimes bad ideas are the right ones.
It's maybe something eternal. I don't know.
Eternal or internal?
Internal.
Oh, okay. Do you think your magic can help?
I've tried what I know.
I see. Thank you.
Lilith.
Let's do Astor real quick.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is, Astor's actually going to turn to Dab real quick, and he's going to ask, "Have you communicated with the force to see if they might know what's happening?"
No one knows what this is.
It's something similar to the scent of Kai that I felt in the tower. Not only that, but maybe even a hag. Actually, out of character, did it feel more like the hag, or was it like Kai?
Neither.
Okay, I was just wondering. But it's a similar feeling, is what he got.
The only thing you get is evil from the odor and celestial.
Oh, okay. So you just got celestial then.
I believe that's what I said.
Okay. No, I was just trying to cover my bases.
It's a mystery.
Okay.
Yup.
So, at that, Lilith turns to Bryn and Isgrim and says, "Please go find Zarrius and Narroth. We have something to discuss."
Bryn points at Zarrius.
Iskrim goes into the temple and finds Narroth.
Let's do Iskrim and Narroth first.
So Iskrim goes inside and sees Narroth. And what is Narroth currently doing? I mean, I know he's meditating, but is he doing any actions or is he sitting there?
He is sitting there with his eyes closed, and I'm going to say part of his robes are on fire.
Impressive. Iskrim will kind of do the, cough sort of thing for a
Narroth is
second.
not going to respond to that.
Cool. All right. Yep. Iskrim will walk up to him and tap him on the shoulder.
Perfect. When you make physical contact with him, Narroth practically jumps to his feet. He was in a cross-legged sitting position before, and looks to him and gasps and says, "Okay, what?
Iskrim backs away a step. My apologies, but apparently Yvette is not feeling well, and Lilith had me come grab you.
Narroth looks over. Okay. I guess I'll come help in some way. Narroth will get up and go with her.
Bryn and Zarrius? Besides Bryn pointing.
Oh, okay. Bryn will run over to Zarrius.
I don't think Zarrius is going to respond to Bryn pointing.
No. She'll run over and knock him on the head.
Zarrius is going to do a quick jab in the direction that he thinks Bryn is standing in, or whoever touched him is standing, and finish his move and come back to like a regular standing position. And he's going to open his eyes at that point.
We might need your help.
I'm what? I'm sorry. Help?
Something's wrong with
Zarrius grabs his staff and starts walking.
Nothing's wrong with Yvette, and we're not exactly sure what it is.
And he hustles over to Yvette and the cart and everyone.
The party has gathered.
At this point, Astor is going to turn towards Zarrius and is going to say, Zarrius, is there any way you can communicate with your god to see if we can get any more information about this?
I mean, I can try. I'll have to see. Hold on.
Well, before you actually go into it, just wanted to tell you that I could tell it was something of a celestial nature, if that helps.
Okay, well, I'm not necessarily the best at celestial beings, but I guess I can try.
If Lilith says if that doesn't work, I have a very, very far out idea, but that's why I needed the whole party here, because I wasn't going to act on it without the approval of everyone.
Okay.
So Zarrius is going to start doing the movements that he was doing a little bit earlier, and he's going to try and communicate with Obad-hai.
What do you do?
I'm going to do the movements and that I would normally do, and I would then do something where I would grab my staff and bang it against the ground a couple times, and the little blue light then, well, not light, a bluish hue then comes over his staff, and hopefully he will then be able to communicate with Obad-hai.
Go ahead and give me a roll.
I see.
I'm going to say no, not this
Yeah.
time.
And Zarrius will come. The blue hue kind of disappears as soon as it appears, and he looks at them and says, "I'm not able to do anything."
So as he says that, Lilith looks up, sort of a tear coming down her eye, and she goes, I believe I might have a way to end this. I think this is some sort of possession or something of that nature. I'm not quite sure. But if we end the life of Yvette, maybe that will take whatever is, this is just a guess, this might be totally wrong, will lift whatever is possessing her, and then I can bring her back to life. I don't know if this will work, and it's a really long shot, and that's why I wanted everybody here, because I really don't want to do this, but this is sort of a last resort. This is beyond my scope.
Well, this is definitely what I consider a last resort, and I don't think we've quite gotten there yet. As interesting as an idea that was, what if whatever is, causing her harm does, prevent you from bringing her back? I'm not quite sure I want to take that bet just yet.
Iskrim stares at you like you're a crazy person, Lilith.
And I see this stare, and I was like, I know this is, I don't know what to do.
Yes, but just because somebody is sick is not a reason to believe they are possessed.
At this point, Astor stands up and he goes, Lady Ciliana, I have a question for you.
She very slowly takes her gaze off Yvette and puts it on you, Astor.
Then Astor says, if you don't know the answer, do you know of anyone who might?
Not anyone in my realm of authority.
Well, who would be the next best thing just outside of your realm of authority? Who would be accessible, I guess?
I cannot think of a definitive name.
Bryn is going to look up.
Short of divine intervention.
Out of character, I see what you did there.
Quick question. So Bryn is going to look up. She sees that the sun has been in the same place for however long they've been sleeping, correct?
Sure.
Is the moon out?
Moon is out, yes.
She'll turn to Lady Ciliana. How do we get away from that? Pointing to the moon.
We head north.
She looks to the party. I think we're getting another visit from our friend.
Narroth, didn't you say this was divine?
Celestial.
Is that thing celestial?
I can tell you that the void is something else. It's not necessarily celestial.
So, Lilith reaches into her bag, her little component pouch, pulls out a small piece of copper wire, and she sends a message to using sending to Randall, to Miles. And she says, it has an unlimited range, so I can reach him anywhere in the world, across other planes of existence. Wherever he is, I can contact him. And I say, there is a problem with Yvette. We do not know what it is. We need help.
Narroth looks to the party. I think the thing that makes most sense right now is something from above. Perhaps moving her into the daylight might do well for her regardless.
I would agree with that. I asked Lady Ciliana if we might be able to get a little bit of provisions to head north, as we would like to leave as soon as possible to make sure she's okay.
The going north is not up to me. It's up to the forest. What makes you so certain that you need to change the time of day?
Let's just say we've had some experiences in the darker times of the day that aren't necessarily the most pleasant. And we are thinking that this might be one of the times.
Seems like a stretch.
I understand, but I think we're willing to take that stretch right now. How does one try and head north?
You talk to the forest and see if it'll let you through?
All right. Thank you. We will try to be back as soon as possible, if the forest allows.
Out of character. Alan, you understand what I'm trying to tell you?
Did you see the message I just sent you?
Yeah, but do you understand the do you understand what Miles is saying?
Not 100%. This is Alan not knowing, not Lilith. I don't know if Lilith would know or not.
Okay, Miles says that her will might be breaking. I think Lilith might remember that the whole fight against that's going on because of the Tower of Babel is basically just a strength of wills, which is why Lilith and Narroth and Astor can still exist with their full mental capacity.
Oh, she's succumbing to Leon.
Do you say this out loud?
I totally do.
Astor just looks at you and he goes, huh?
I've been talking to Miles, and he said her will might be breaking. It reminds me of creatures affected by lecherous Leon, by the Wounded King. She might be succumbing to the mind control.
Why would that happen now?
She has a strong sense of will, so therefore, because of her strong sense of will, and honestly, she's a drunk, and the alcohol might have prevented. I don't know. This is just a throw out here, but she's succumbing to his domination.
I think the party can recognize that. Oh, since you met her last, her confidence hasn't necessarily been there. If you remember last session where she was complaining for several, for in game it's probably about like 20 minutes, but from roleplay perspective, it may have been 4 or 5. She was complaining about not knowing whether she's doing the right thing, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, it was even more that she was very impulsive and wanted to act on the impulse to go do the thing now. and not thinking about the wisdom of waiting.
Well, she was kind of like that before, but the point is there.
Not to that degree of annoyment. I mean,
Yes, she really ticked Lilith off. I don't think this worked, but I'm gonna try to dispel magic on her.
I'll tell you right off the bat, the magic's too strong.
Okay.
So at this point, Astor is going to try something too. He's going to hold on. Let me look this thing up. Okay, he's going to kind of just put his right hand on Yvette's shoulder, and he's going to talk to her, and he's going to say, Yvette, we're here to help you. If you can wake up, we can talk. And he's going to try and use his voice to kind of soothe her emotions if she can hear him using this spell.
This is going to transcend the effect that, like dispel magic, you feel the magic that's in her fighting against you and ultimately winning.
Okay.
Narroth is going to look over to Iskrim. At what point do we start preparing for the inevitable?
the inevitable being what?
That she succumbs to the wounded king. We might need to be prepared for a battle.
Or you could tie her up beforehand.
Are we willing to do that, considering the intimate nature of our relationship?
So she wakes up and she gets angry. She'll drink it off.
Yeah, we need her to drive the boat back.
Lilith says the boat may not be necessary, but the inevitable fact is that when she wakes up, she's not going to be Yvette. She's going to be the creature of the wounded king.
Not if we stop it first.
So perhaps we take equal amounts of preparation for both. Those of you who can get through to Yvette and allow her to regain her senses, you go for that. Those of us who can't, I believe we should start preparing for a fight.
So you see Iskrim walk over to his pack, and he pulls out a rope, and he walks over to Yvette, and he starts tying her. He starts hog-tying her.
This is just a out-of-character thing. You've all seen Yvette teleport. It's not an out of... I mean, we've seen her do the thunderstep thing. We've seen her do she literally teleport up to the roof of the inn when she was introduced in this chapter.
Yeah, rope is not going to do anything here.
Okay. Technically, I don't think Iskrim ever saw her teleport. He heard the thunder and looked up, and there she was on the roof.
In the past battle, she also teleported to the party.
Okay. I just don't remember. Alright. That's the best he knows how to do, and he's just about as practical as can be, so he's still gonna go for the rope unless somebody stops him.
Yeah, Bryn's stopping him.
I would like to go over to Lady Silyana and pull her over to the side if possible.
Sure.
And Zarrius, nice
You
and
may have your
calm.
turn.
Thank you. Zarrius is not really too disturbed about what's going on necessarily. He's acting very calm, whatnot, and he is going to speak to Lady Silyana. So I may have some sort of idea how we may be able to help her if you would be willing to teach us your ways. One of our goals in coming to you specifically is to learn about this special ability, unique ability that you have that you can help ignore the effects of extreme fatigue. I've heard that you have taught your people how to do that, and we're wondering if it would be possible for you to teach a number of us how to do that, as we are experiencing the effects of Electrus Leon, as I believe you're seeing in front of us. We are interested in what you might be able to offer people who are succumbed to this fatigue.
Everything I like, there's some basic primal things that I could do, but something as powerful as what you're insinuating is actually a simple control of how the body views time. And the only way you could learn something like that is to explore the Temple of the Fate Courts, to go inside and see if the Fae will give you that knowledge.
All right. And I'll ask her this as well. So, what I may be able to learn from this Fey knowledge that will not be able to help Yvette in this specific instance.
I don't understand what is the issue at the moment.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're talking about breaking her will or that whatnot. I don't understand that. What does her will have anything to do with it?
So, Electrus Leon has unique powers, you might call them. He is very... He has able to... I can speak. He is able to take control of one's mind and make whoever he wants do what he essentially wants them to do. He is extremely powerful and has the ability to do what he wants, as he is a god.
What? So we have a god? What?
This is what we are experiencing back on Excelsior. We have this god who has escaped imprisonment and has wreaked havoc on our home country. We are here as diplomats of our country to see if we can gather supplies abilities to hopefully withstand the abilities that Letrus Leon possesses. As you have currently seen, the ice dwarves have attacked the village that is just outside of Daneth. It's just outside of your borders, which is not normally very usual for the ice dwarves, I've been told. They're not very coordinated like this. This is only via the power of the Letrus Leon. He has the ability to take over one's thoughts and make them his and turn people against each other.
Okay, so why aren't we affected?
Hey, Zarrius, you're digging yourself into a very, very deep hole.
At this point, Lilith is gonna approach as well.
Sure.
As she's approaching, did she hear Suliana say that?
Sure.
She just says, because you're plain touched.
But you're not plain touch.
No, but I was in the tower when he was released. And the magic of the tower, I guess, made those of us who are not plain touched immune to his power.
So turn Yvette into a plain touch.
That can be done?
Or in, at least from my knowledge, the most prominent parts of the Feywild. At least on the natural plane. See if the Fey will take her.
I go to Astor. After she says this, I say, "Thank you, my lady." And I go to Astor and I say, "We're going to have to do something you're not going to like, I think."
Is it worse or better than what you mentioned earlier?
It's a lot better, but it might be worse in your eyes. I know the history you have with your family, but they are Fey. Maybe if Suyana suggested that maybe if we make the Yvette plain touched, that we can make her immune to the power of Letrus Leon. And your family might have that ability.
Wait, so are you saying we want to go to the Feywild, or what exactly are you asking of me?
Before we continue this, why don't we, I'll take a history roll, religion roll, something like that from Zarrius, Astor, and Lilith, who are in the scene.
Can you tell me what abilities you said again?
History or religion. I'll even take an Arcana roll if it's anything.
Can I use religion with wisdom or religion with intelligence?
This is going to be an intelligence roll, unfortunately.
I'm still trained, so...
Jesus Christ. If you remember, I don't know, I guess like a month and a half ago at this point, Narroth observed humans and elves going into Lake Lacarum and going into that place of power for the elemental plane of water, and then coming out as water genasi. This is actually potentially the same idea where you can go into the Temple of the Fae Court, but which at this point all three of you know that it's a high place of Fae power, and set her there to potentially try to do the same thing. This isn't necessarily a go talk to your family sort of answer to this question of becoming plain touch.
Okay. Okay, so knowing that Lilith is probably going to approach the rest of the party and says to Narroth, do you remember when we were near the lake how they were turning people into water genasi?
Narroth nods.
We might have the same principle here with the temple. We know that plain touched people are immune to lecherous Leon's influence. If we bring her in the temple and appeal to the Fae, they might be able to do the same thing with Yvette, and we might be able to break the hold that they have on Yvette.
Narroth looks to the side, thinking for a second. Well, it might cause her to drink even more, but I'm willing to bet that it's better than costing her life. Let's do it.
In the background, Bryn, Yvette, and Iskrim are still there. Did you guys want to have a quick scene before Lilith comes in?
Well, after stopping Isgrim from trying to hog-tie Yvette up, Bryn is going to drop down. Is she in the cart still, or is she outside the cart?
She is in the cart at this moment.
Okay. Bryn's going to step inside the cart and ask for Dav.
Sure.
Dav, can you, I'm going to talk to her, but I don't know if she can hear me. Can you help me?
I can... I don't think I can't. I mean, I've tried to connect to her, but I just hear this grotesque laughter, but it's not in Yvette's voice. It's something else.
Do you think she can hear you?
I don't know.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll just say it out loud, and maybe she hears me through her own ears, or if you can try to tell her.
I'll do my best.
Maybe she'll hear one of us. Yvette, I know you're scared, and I don't blame you. This whole thing is pretty crazy, especially knowing the things that you know now about yourself and the things that you've seen, what's happened to you and to us and to Phillip. I get it. And I understand why you might want to give up or feel helpless, because I felt that way too. And if it wasn't for the fact that I'm a tiefling, maybe I would have already gone through what you're going through now. But what I do know is that you're stronger than this. You're the first person to sail a ship to a new continent. You come from a strong line. Your father has a statue in the middle of the capital. You are so much stronger than he is. And everyone here depends on you and has your back. You can come back from this. And we need you to come back from this.
I think she stirs for a little bit, but she doesn't come out of the state she's in.
So, probably at this point, Lilith is going to approach the cart and say, "We need to bring her in the temple."
I don't know. We just might need to talk to her.
Yeah, I'm averse to the idea of, just changing someone's identity like that. While I understand the reason we're doing it, I don't like doing that quite just yet. Especially not if we got a good response like that just now.
Well, then...
Did Astor
Lilith-
say that out loud?
Yeah.
Okay, Bryn is going to extend her hand to Astor. Talk to her. I don't think any of us have done that yet. Actually talk to her.
Well, Astor at this point ponders a bit, then he's gonna sit down cross-legged, kind of like he's about to tell a story. And then he says, "Hi, Bet. I don't know if you can hear me, but following up with what our fantastic companion Bryn here said, I can kind of understand why you might be feeling a little insecure. I felt that way too, and not just in this particular situation. I mean, I knew a man. His name was Ryan. He was a rather gruff, rude type of person, but he has some good traits to him, in spite of the fact that it might get physical at times, if you will. But after spending some time with him and kind of thinking about some of the things he said to me, some of those things that he can do, he's the one who kind of inspired me a little bit to try and lead this band of motley people here that are currently surrounding you, who are also very supportive of you. So, I mean, I'd love to tell you some more about him, but just kind of want to let you know that your dad was a good man, and I mean, he helped me get through some tough things. I'd like to be able to do the same for someone else. Maybe you in this situation.
So I don't think there is a change at this moment.
I would then like to speak up and suggest that we move her inside the temple along with Lilith. Suggestion.
Astor at this point says, not yet. Let's keep her away from the temple.
Why?
Real quick, Astor is going to kind of check to see if Yvette's condition has improved at all.
I mean, she is under pain relievers, and her fever has broken prior to taking her to the cards, but that condition has not seemed to worsen or improve at this moment. The only thing you got so far, she seemed to respond to something.
And again, Zarrius is going to ask Astor why.
I don't want to expose her to strong magical energies when she's being affected by magic, or something of the like.
How do you know that it's not going to help her?
How do we know it is? I know that's a really stupid counter-argument, but if I can't answer it, you can't answer mine either.
Well, what if we just tried moving her to a different location? I don't see how moving her to a different location can hurt her.
I'm just worried specifically about the temple.
Lilith looks to Astor and says, "This is a powerful magical influence that she is under."
And she's been beating it up until this point.
But the thing of it is that I'm out of answers. I don't know what to do.
So, practically speaking, you usually wait a little bit. We've been talking and watching over her for not very long, let's be honest. So we should wait and see if her condition worsens. If it does, then we can take action. But it may improve. And as Bryn says, talking to her may help. Immediately freaking out and moving people around every 5 steps, just because they're not doing well for 5 minutes here, is not practical and very impulsive, and actually what Yvette was starting to act like before she fell into this slumber. So I would take a breath and relax.
Who says we're freaking out? I haven't been freaking out this whole time.
Lilith is, and Iskrim notices.
Anyways, sure, we'll give a little bit of time. I'm thinking like a half hour or so. If nothing changes within a half hour, I think we should then see if a change in location helps her improve or not.
Lilith remembering what Arathis said to her yesterday, takes a deep breath and just goes and sits into the cart next to Yvette and just says, she places her hand, she actually takes her holy symbol off of her neck, places it on Yvette, and says, "Just fight it, girl." And then sits there watching and just being the sort of physician's mind that she is, to just sort of calm herself.
Cool. That's a cool picture, at least in my head. What is the rest of the party going to do immediately, at least? Just
Astor is going to go along with the accepted thought of how we're not going to do anything for a while and just observe. So he's going to actually kind of remove himself a little bit from where the group is and just try and play some soothing music in the background while they wait for things to progress.
Zarrius is going to go off a little distance and sit there and think to himself. Just the whole situation that we have experienced as we walked here with Yvette, and then the current situation that we're in, and how it could be similar, how it could be different, what ways we can work to hopefully improve her condition.
Bryn wanders.
Bryn is going to sit there and keep talking to Yvette. Come back to me once everybody else says what they do.
Iskrim?
I remember earlier that Bryn was putting a cold or wet rag on Yvette's forehead. So I'll make sure that if there's a bowl nearby, I'll make sure that it's filled with water and keep wiping Yvette's forehead and monitoring her condition. I didn't know her all that well, so I just kind of do all of the mundane things while everybody else focuses on making her feel better.
And Narroth.
Narroth at this point is going to attend to her physically. So if she's running a fever, he'll get, probably magic up some cold and tend to her in that way. As for emotionally, he doesn't really have any words, but hopefully his actions will express that.
And Bryn.
Bryn is gonna find Zarrius.
Success?
What is Zarrius?
I'm not hiding. I'm just a distance away, maybe like let's just say 50 feet away, sitting there.
Okay, is he like in the meditative state that he does, or is he just
No,
literally just sitting?
he's sitting there, not like he normally would meditate. He's sitting there, eyes closed in thought.
Okay, she'll walk up to him. Are you?
I'd probably hear you walk up.
Yeah, probably.
Go ahead.
She jingles. Are you going to talk to her?
I mean, I can. Right now, I'm still not seeing how that would help her. Based on my knowledge of past experiences, when it comes to such situations, either medically or physically, the Fae has always been helpful with sorting out those issues. That is why I was suggesting we move her into the temple, as my past experiences have shown that it has improved situations.
And do what with her?
We wouldn't be I would say we lay her down and pray.
For what?
Seek that she gets better, and that whatever powers that the Fae possesses might be able to heal her to the best of their ability.
She's losing her will. Can the Fae fix that?
Would I know that from past experiences, Chris?
So, we're talking about plain touch. If the Fae can make her into a plain touch, potentially, this will potentially break the connection to the Wounded King, like Tieflings being plain touch from the Nine Hells, or Phillip, who is an Earth Genasi, being a plain touch from the elemental plane of Earth. In theory, this will work. In practicality, you don't know anyone who has been Fae touched.
So that last part, just so that I'm clear as a player, I don't know of anyone that has been plain touched in the past.
From the Fae, at least.
From the Fae, okay. But from the Nine Hells.
You know the Nine Hells.
Shadowfell.
You met Genasi, you met, technically Kai was an Azamar, so you officially met an Azamar, which is a celestial plane touch, or astral sea plane touch. But you have not met a plane touch from the Feywild or the Shadowfell yet.
Alright. Back in character.
She asked,
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
that.
she asked, she said that she's losing her will. Can the Fae help her regain her will, basically?
Based on mine and your experience, we have been plain touched from the Nine Hells, as we are tieflings, and we are here on Earth, or on the natural plane. Sorry, yes, natural plane. We are here on the natural plane, and we have been plane touched from the Nine Hells. I do not know of anyone who's been plane touched from the Fae. It's possible that it could be done, but I don't necessarily know whether that would work. So I can come and speak with Yvette. As the temple shows a possible way, but I've never personally known of anyone who has been able to be plane touched by the Fae. So at this point, Zarrius would probably get up and slowly make his way over to Yvette. Not in any rush, as Zarrius is thinking as to what he would say to Yvette on his way over to her.
And you make it to Yvette. We'll give you a moment to,
Cool,
to think about it. Iskrim, Narroth, you still doing the same thing?
Yes.
Yep.
Astor.
Excuse me. Astor is still playing, but he wants to actually try and, he hasn't done this before, but, well, he knows he can. He's going to try and put in a little counter charm for a little while in his playing, just weave in a little music and see if he can magically influence Yvette in a positive way to kind of improve her condition that way.
Let's go to Zarrius.
So, she's still sitting on the cart, is that correct?
Laying in the cart.
Oh, laying in the cart, sure. Is she in the center of the cart, or is she to one side or the other of the cart?
The cart isn't terribly huge, so she's probably off one side of the cart with various people leaning against the side of the wall per se, or something to that extent.
Okay.
But she would have to be towards the left or to the right to make walking room for everyone.
Okay. Zarrius is going to climb up into the cart, and he's going to lay down next to Yvette. And as Zarrius has his staff in his hands, as he's kind of got his arms wrapped around his staff as it's up against his chest, and the roots are kind of between his legs as he's laying there. He starts to slowly speak to Yvette, saying, and this is going to be more in a hushed tone, not necessarily his normal speaking voice. So he's going to say, Yvette, there are many things in this world that bid for our thought process and time. It's a big struggle for all of us to go through that and focus on the things we want to focus. I'm praying to Obad-hai right now that you might be able to focus on the present things that don't necessarily want your strong focus right now. There are things that are trying to invade your mind and soul, and I'm petitioning that you ignore those to the best of your ability as you lay here searching for what's right. I hope and pray that you seek first what our friends and I have stated to you, that you may focus on the good of this world and not what Leon is trying to say. And he continues to lay there for a second in just silent, probably thinking and praying to himself as he's laying there.
Anything else from Lilith or Bryn, and intern the rest of the party?
Lilith is just sort of almost, it's almost like second nature to her now, like sort of like in that she's trying to disconnect from her almost sort of panic that she had, to be the doctor, to be the physician, and just letting the symbol of Arathis, hopefully, and her belief in her deity and her God and her faith, just hopefully strengthen the will of Yvette, and just letting that just, mechanical sort of nature just take over.
Narroth, Iskram, same thing?
If Iskram does not see any improvement in Yvette, he's going to, kind of every time Zarrius or anyone else mentions moving her to the temple and trying to get her plane touched, you'll see him kind of nod his assent, as that's starting to look more and more like the practical thing to do.
Narroth?
Narroth is going to see people basically come up and try to emotionally relate to Yvette. And Narroth is definitely not very good at this, but when Iskrim is off, fetching water or something, Narroth is going to kind of look at Yvette and kind of growl almost and say, "Damn it, live."
Bryn?
Yeah. After Narroth saying that kind of causes Bryn to tear up a little bit. She's gonna hold on to Yvette's hand and say, "Just a few nights ago, you sent someone my way, trying to, I guess, find me someone to love, and I sent him off into the woods. You were so wrong about me. It was actually kind of funny. But it reminded me that I was so wrong about you. When we met, you were a drunkard. Some would call you a fool, even. A captain of a ship who could hardly stand up straight on the sea while she was drunk. But when we got to Wexham, I was shattered when I saw a child ripped from its mother's arms. And when I told you about that, it didn't even take you a second. Not even a moment went by before you suggested that we go save that child. And you brought me back together again so that I could try, at least try, to make things right, to make things the way they should be. So, let me return the favor. We can fix you, but only if you're willing to try. So please try. And she'll just start sobbing and like place her head next to Yvette's.
A few more moments goes by as Bryn goes into this sobbing fit. But at this moment, Yvette has a brief moment of movement. And then you see her body convulse and starts to contort in a weird way, and you can see her kind of moving left and right as if she is in pain. And we will fade to black here.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for the Low Rollers Live. We will be having After the Rolls tonight. So after we stop the stream here, go ahead and reload the page. We'll have a new stream up and running. Just in case you don't know, After the Rolls is our post-show where we talk a little bit about the game Dungeons & Dragons and our specific game here, the story we go through. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember, you can catch us every Monday night at 9 p.m. We also rebroadcast at 5 p.m. on Wednesday nights. So just in case you miss some, you can get caught up there. Also, if you check the links down below, you can find a link to our YouTube channel and you can get caught up on every past episode. Thank you so much for joining us here for this emotional story for tonight. We appreciate you being here, and please tell your friends, and stay for After the Rolls. Thanks so much.